Hey guys, it's Ali. What is up? So today we're talking all about the original Naked palette from Urban Decay. Also, if you haven't seen my previous video from last week, I highly recommend that you watch this first because I showed you how you can make your own DIY Naked palette, and it is the same one that we are comparing today to the real one. So today is the test of the real Naked palette from Urban Decay versus the fake one that we made ourselves in the previous video. So I do have to say there's some really good dupes in this eyeshadow palette. So here it is, real Naked palette versus fake Naked palette. Let's get right on. So first, let's start off with the real Naked palette and try to see, what good quality this is. So starting off in the front, you can tell that this is like a felty texture. It is kind of like a velour material. You get an eyeshadow brush, which I will take out because it'll probably fall out the whole time. This is a really, really good eyeshadow brush. It's a flat shader brush on one side and a fluffy blending shadow brush on the other side, I guess. You get a mirror, but it is a pretty tiny mirror, as you can see. Also, it says Naked again right there. So here we have the gorgeous eyeshadows. They are 12 eyeshadows. It's the iconic palette from Urban Decay. Everybody loves it, and that is for a reason. Now let's have a quick look at our fake one. So you can see it is also a velour felty material, but this is more like stretchy. You can see I can move the lettering around. So this one's longer and also tiny bit wider there, but only a tiny bit. I also wrote the Naked right there, but again, we have 12 gorgeous shades from Wet n Wild. There's some shades in here that are really comparable, some of them that are identical, and then there's some where you're just like, what happened? So the first shade is called Virgin, and this is a gorgeous highlighting shade. I think if you put this on the eyelid, comparing these two colors together, they will look identical on your eyelids. Although, once having them swatched, I can see that the original Naked palette has more of a pinky tone, while the Wet n Wild eyeshadow has more of a whitish tone. The next shade is called Sin. It looks really similar. That is definitely a win. The next shade is Naked. I kind of failed in this one. I was having so much trouble finding matte eyeshadows from Wet n Wild. It is a terrible dupe for Naked. Like, don't use it. Next shade is Sidecar. These, I can honestly say, are identical. There might be a teeny, weensy, tiny micro-millimeter slight change that the Wet n Wild one is darker, but it's just so tiny you cannot tell. Next shade is Buck. The one that's in my palette from Wet n Wild has like gold glitter chunks in there, while the one from the Naked palette is completely matte. You don't see the glitter chunks though. Otherwise, the shade is identical. Then we'll go to Half Baked. This was another tricky one for me, so I was just like going for the closest that I could. And I have to say, it's as close as I got, but it is definitely not a dupe. So the next shade we will move on to is Smog. These are really similar as well, identical. Then we have Dark Horse. The original Urban Decay one is more brownish, while the one from Wet n Wild is more greenish / blackish, I guess. And it also has like shimmery chunks in there, so it's not the same, but it is still a really good similarity there. Then next is Toasted, which is kind of off, and it is kind of a nice mauvey, purpley, shimmery shade. And the one from Wet n Wild is really gorgeous as well, and I definitely use it, but it's like orangey, peachy. Then the next shade we have is, what is it? Hustle. These look really similar. The one from Wet n Wild is slightly more purplish, but otherwise I say this is a big thumbs up. Then we have Creep. In my opinion, this is like so identical that you could not tell them apart. I have these two swatches in front of me right now, and I'm just like, there's no difference, no difference at all. Then Gunmetal is another one of those where I had trouble with. The one from Wet n Wild is just way more, it's bluish, it's kind of silvery too, so this is a big no-go for me. 8 out of the 12 eyeshadows are definitely identical or very comparable, and you cannot tell the difference on the eyelid. So the other 4 eyeshadows, I think, are so not comparable, especially Naked, Half Baked, Toasted, and Gunmetal. Those are a huge no-go for me, but the rest is super similar and super affordable. Overall, this is probably less than half the price the $60 eyeshadow palette here. I think I might have spent about like $10–20 on this palette, so it is definitely a really affordable palette and I highly recommend it. And it may not be as high class and like fancy schmancy. I mean, there's like glue hanging out of the side, so this is not a really good made palette. There's another high-end palette out there that you would like to see a dupe for or a DIY on, or any other makeup product, then please leave a comment down below and like this video. So I love you guys so much, and I will talk to you in my next video. Goodbye!